Ladies and gentlemen, your first time in is 3 rounds of the Cage Legacy Super Lightweight Division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. This man is a mixed martial artist, weighing in under 74 kgs. Fighting out of Full Power, presenting David Carson. As opponent making his way to the cage, fighting out of the red corner. This man is a mixed martial artist, weighing in under 74 kgs. Fighting out of Arena, presenting Lukasz Zillions.
Welcome along to Cage Legacy 11 here in the beautiful Finnstown Castle in Lucan, Dublin. We are about to get underway in a super lightweight bout between Lukasz Zillions out of Arena and Wexford, who is in the black and grey, and he takes on David Carson from Full Power. This is Noel O'Keefe and Phil Campbell calling the action. Your third man in the cage is Decky Larkin, and Phil, we are underway.
First fight of the night, Noel, let's go.
Zillions just trying to keep the range straight away with that lead teep, but you can see no messing around by Carson. He wants to close that distance, and he's done that now.
Yeah, the BJJ blue belt just straight in on the takedown here. And this is reminiscent of our first fight that we seen Zillions in, where he got out-wrestled by Mati Zavev at Cage Legacy 10. So it'll be nice to see what kind of adjustments he's made in his game.
And 2 hands clasped. And he is like a dog with a bone chasing this is Carson.
I'd like to see Carson drop his level ever so slightly and try and elevate. But he's going for the outside trip. Needs to adjust the head position ever so slightly. He's got it to the side. If he had that head in the middle.
You can just see Zillions is just holding on to that neck, and that is stopping Carson from advancing, and potentially this is it, and he's turning into a
guillotine. Yep, it's a tight stand and guillotine. He's really hipping into it.
He's got to be careful with burning the arms out, of course, and Carson will be aware of that, so if he knows it's not too tight, he might allow it.
Carson just needs to try and straighten that back up a little bit.
You can really see Carson just trying to lean all his mass in on the frame and maybe restrict the breathing a little by throwing that shoulder into the chest of his opponent. Zillions looks calm.
Yeah, he's not giving the guillotine as much pop as he was, as you alluded to, Noel. He's not going to gas those arms out. But he's just bided his time there, and he seems to be back on it.
Yeah.
He's hooked up a leg, got one leg across the back here.
Carson in half guard, might look to step across. But a little grimace on the face of Carson there, just as he's in this position.
Instead of posting out with that hand, I'd like to see him take that grip on the hand that's underneath the chin. Get S-grip on that and dig the shoulder.
That's got tighter as well, Phil. He's reversed it. This is danger here for Carson. Zillions now is almost on top.
But again, Carson just biding his time here.
In an unfamiliar position, as you said at the top of the round. Zillions is more from a kickboxing background, so training MMA in around the same time, both these fighters a year, so.
And Carson's a BJJ blue belt in his own right, so he's going to have been in situations like this multiple times in training. Yes, this is his MMA amateur debut, but in training and to become a BJJ blue belt, you've been in these positions, and there we see him popping the head out.
So we now have Zillions in the guard of Carson. A little ripple of applause goes up from the educated audience here.
He's holding on to that underhook. Let's see what he could be doing from there. Watch that guard. He's slowly creeping up the back of Zillions.
Zillions needs to be careful here.
He's doing the right thing by planting one knee down and posturing. I'd like to see him get a little bit more purchase on the posture.
Just falls back into that guard again, and sometimes fighters in this position feel they almost think they're safe. Opponents aren't going from that with a quick switch of the hips, and all of a sudden you're trying to rip your arm or stop your arm from getting ripped off.
But Zillions doing the right thing, just following the hips, keeping himself nice and compact.
Considering the last time we've seen him there, you got to say an improvement by the young man. Almost $1 billion strut back to his corner, but an interesting first round. And by interesting, I mean interesting to see what way the judges will score that one.
I would have called that a $1 zillion strut.
Your referee, Mr. Decky Larkin, just clearing out the corners, getting ready for the second round here in our opening bout at Cage Legacy 11. David Carson, who is in the orange and black rash guard, taking on Lukasz Zillions in the grey and black. Got to get underway. An interesting first round. It'll be interesting to see how the hands and striking of Zillions is after holding on to that guillotine choke for so long.
But he's using that front kick to try and keep Carson at distance. I think he wants. There we see the push. He obviously wants to fight this fight at distance and implement some striking. Head kick attempt by Carson. Yes.
Carson goes high, but Zillions just out of the way of it. But You can see the young man is light on his feet, and this is where he wants to engage, almost like a DS-style slapping hand there.
We see that, oh, he caught him with a straight there, forced the shot in from Carson. That was reactive. Very good work there from David Carson.
It was a nice right hand landed, and it landed flush, but Carson, smart enough to bring it to his world.
Just timed the shoot perfectly. Just working from side control right now.
And that's something you said, Phil. Zillions was trying to keep it at distance and maybe fell a little in love with the couple of strikes he landed and wasn't fully aware defensively that the change of levels could be coming. And he now finds himself on his back with Carson in side control. Just has the right arm trapped of Carson at the moment, and that's stopping the full power man from advancing further.
It's almost like an arm-in guillotine position from here, but you would like to see Zillions let that go and try and use that underhook that he has on the left side to perhaps try and spin, perhaps try and create a little bit of space, work back in for guard.
Carson maybe looking for crucifix position, head and arm triangle choke, a possibility too, but Zillions got aware of that, but still crucifix is a possibility here for Carson.
Keep an eye on the left knee of Carson. He may step that up and switch into knee on belly, thus finding full mount. He attempted it. He's just using it to control right now. And
Zillions done well. Tried to use the cage to get back to half guard. It's not quite there. The knee is still more on the cup of Zillions at the moment.
He's just trying to pop that knee out to try and reclaim guard.
Zillions want to maybe stop hitting from the bottom there. Strikes not going to cause too much damage. That short range.
And Carson's going to be happy to sit in this position because the emphasis really is on the man on the bottom to do work.
He has that left leg, Zillions trapped between his legs as well, and that's allowing him to almost control his position. I think he wants to posture up and advance or maybe rain down some ground and pound here.
He just needs to try and escape, get that leg out, or maybe elevate. Looks like he elevated for a half sweep.
Zillions, he's got to be aware with amateur bouts, it's only 3-3-minute rounds, so there's not a lot of time when you end on your back, and potentially this round is gone now, so difficult for the young man to shake this off going into the third round if we make it that far, but time really moves fast in the amateur ranks.
And often people get preoccupied with well done to get your guard back there. But people get preoccupied with this position when they're on the bottom and feel they need to pull out a submission. But why not just get the feet on the hips, push your opponent away and stand back up? Because that's obviously where Zillions wants to keep the fight.
And there's your 10-second clapper. So this round has gone the way Carson would have wanted it, or I should say the second half of the round. He got lit up a little on the feet, got caught flush with a beautiful right hand by Zillions. But you got to say the full power man, once he got the takedown, the fight took place in his world where he was comfortable. So it's all to play for Zillions coming into the third round. And really, so far depends what way the judges looked at the first one. The third round of the first bout of the evening here at Cage Legacy 11. We are in Lucan, Dublin. Our referee, Decky Larkin, gets us underway. So you got to feel that Zillions needs to really keep this standing. The arena man might feel he may potentially need a finish again. It could all play on the first round. He's using that teep and using it well.
That's a nice straight again. That's going to force the shoot from David.
And there it is again. And Carson is using almost his attack against him. He's throwing combinations and standing still in front of Carson for a brief second, and that allows Carson to do what he does and get us back to the mat.
You see Carson just again with that BJJ patience, just taking his time. He has the dominant position. And there's an opportunity here. So the guard looks open of Zillions. He could just step that arm out and into side control if he wishes, or step that leg out rather. Zillions trying to close that up.
You can see a little bit of frustration on Zillions' face now for the first time in this one. It's almost like I'm here again. I couldn't get out of here. Then the second round, I'm going to be 3 minutes on my back here. And Carson changing the side of attack and moves into side control, just as you said, Phil, but on the opposite side. Again, shown almost baiting Zillions into one side and switching to the other. Excellent work.
And he's in no rush to go looking for a submission or gets the knee on belly, goes over, may grapevine the legs here, but establishes the mount.
Big shots really coming down, yeah. Decky Larkin won't allow him to stay here and get hit. He's got to try and fight to get some recovery, better his position. He's trying to break the posture and pull Carson down to him. Carson just needs to be careful of the target and where he's hitting. Potentially tying something up from the bottom here if he got the arm on the opposite side. You'd see it very rarely, but he uses the sweep, Phil. Beautiful work by Zillions. Wasn't expecting that.
That is the danger of the mounted position, Noel. It's not as secure as you may think. If you leave the tiniest little bit of space, you have the option to be turned. That's why I would always be a greater advocate of half guard.
Zillions just had a little peekaboo look there to see what Carson was doing. And he's in a position where he needs to get out of here. Surely he must have a sense of urgency. I cannot sit in this guard. I have to work.
Watch out for the triangle. You can see Carson just creeping that guard up and try and establish wrist control.
High pressure in this corner, calling for shots. Carson happy enough to sit here. He will be aware that he's going to potentially throw up a triangle or an armbar if Zillions is not careful. Decky Larkin, for Zillions' favour here, standing them up. The young man got to know he's got to go, but he's got to be careful when he throws his combinations, Phil. Learn from the first 2 times and not stand in front of Carson. Good sprawl this time.
But Carson changes it. Is that a fight-winning takedown, though?
I would believe so. Again, it's the first round. Carson could take that out of the round. For me, round 2 was a clear win, and by the looks of it, it's round 3 too. Potentially could be all 3 scorecards.
And for me, Carson consistently finished each round in a dominant position, which leaves a mark in the eyes of the judges.
It sure does, but Zillions, big improvements from his last outing as well. He can take confidence from that, but we go to do judges' scorecards for the first bout here at Cage Legacy 11.
Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for both fighters. After 3 rounds of action, we go to your judges' scorecards. All 3 judges scored this bout 29-28. For your winner, by unanimous decision, fighting out of the blue corner, David.